Hey everyone! Let's talk about Francisco Pizarro, born in Trujillo, Spain around 1478. His early life? Not exactly glamorous. He was one of a bunch of kids born out of wedlock and grew up poor. We don't know much about his childhood, but he probably didn't go to school and spent his time looking after his dad's pigs. But guess what? Destiny had other plans. Francisco heard stories about a place called the New World, full of gold and adventure. These stories got him hooked, and he wanted a piece of the action. In 1502, he jumped at the chance to leave his boring life and joined an expedition to the island of Hispaniola. This was the start of his crazy and sometimes violent life in the Americas. Over the next 10 years, Pizarro became a good soldier and leader. He explored the coasts of Panama and even helped Vasco Núñez de Balboa discover the Pacific Ocean in 1513. But being a soldier wasn't enough for Pizarro. He wanted to be rich and powerful, like conquer an empire powerful. Then he heard whispers about a rich empire high up in the Andes Mountains. This got him excited all over again. Pizarro, now in his 40s, set his sights on a new target, the Inca Empire. His name would become super famous, or maybe infamous, because of what he did to this great civilization. Pizarro's first trips south were a total disaster. In 1524, he went on an expedition with his conquistador buddy Diego de Almagro. It was rough. They were starving, sick, and constantly fighting off angry natives. They had to go back to Panama defeated, and Almagro even lost an eye. But Pizarro wasn't giving up. He still believed in the Inca Empire and all its gold. He tried again in 1526, and this time, he made it to the edge of the Inca Empire. He found proof of its riches, fancy gold jewelry, and beautiful woven cloths. He even grabbed a couple of Inca kids to be his translators. This was all the proof Pizarro needed. He went back to Panama, ready to show everyone he was right. But the governor wasn't convinced and said no to another trip. Pizarro was mad, but he wasn't going to quit. He sailed to Spain in 1528 to talk to King Charles V himself. He basically said, "Hey, let me conquer this place and I'll share the riches with you." The king, who loved the idea of free gold, gave Pizarro permission to conquer. With the king's permission, Pizarro went back to Panama and got his 4 half-brothers to join his team. These guys were super loyal to Pizarro and ready for anything. They called themselves the Famous 13. In 1532, Pizarro sailed back to the Inca Empire with less than 200 men. They didn't have a huge army, but they had horses, metal weapons, and guns, things the Incas had never seen before. This would give them a huge advantage. Now here's the thing. Pizarro didn't know that the Inca Empire had just finished a civil war. The emperor and his heir had died from a disease, probably smallpox from European traders. 2 brothers, Atahualpa and Huáscar, were fighting for the throne. Atahualpa won, but the empire was weak. Their army was smaller and everyone was fighting with each other. This was the perfect chance for Pizarro and his small crew. Pizarro landed in what's now Ecuador and marched towards the city of Cajamarca, where Emperor Atahualpa was hanging out. Atahualpa didn't know how dangerous these new guys were and agreed to meet Pizarro. On November 16, 1532, they met in the town square. Pizarro, even though he had way fewer soldiers, planned a surprise attack. When Atahualpa arrived, carried on a fancy chair and surrounded by unarmed men, the Spanish attacked. Cannons fired, horses trampled people, and it was a total mess. Atahualpa was captured. Even though the Incas paid a huge ransom in gold and silver, Pizarro was still scared they'd fight back. So, he had Atahualpa killed in August 1533. With their emperor dead and their army defeated, the once powerful Inca Empire collapsed. Pizarro then marched to the Inca capital of Cusco and took it over. He put a new Inca emperor in charge, Manco Inca Yupanqui, hoping to control the rest of the Incas. But Manco Inca rebelled, which didn't end well for him. In 1535, Pizarro built a new capital city on the coast and called it City of Kings, later known as Lima. Lima became the Spanish headquarters in South America, showing just how ambitious and ruthless Pizarro was. Pizarro ruled the conquered Inca lands, which he called New Castile. But his reign was full of fighting and betrayal. The conquistadors fought amongst themselves over the treasure. In 1541, Pizarro was killed by followers of his old friend, Diego de Almagro, the same guy he had executed years earlier. Pizarro's death was the end of an era, but his conquest changed the Americas forever. Be sure to subscribe to Got Vistry Warfare for more awesome history and warfare stories.